Hello everyone, I'm Mark Taylor, one of the joint ministry team at Newark Congregational Church. The first thing to point out is that this is the original Newark in Nottinghamshire, England, not the upstart one in New Jersey. Before I start about what we've been up to in these times of COVID, I want to start with our vision of what church is about. It's important for what follows. In a lot of churches, and in ours until recently, church has been all about Sunday worship. That's been at the centre of our thinking. If attendance on a Sunday is good, the church is thriving. If it's going down, the church is failing. Everything else the church does is peripheral, and that's what this diagram strives to illustrate. We don't think like that anymore. This diagram has a subtle but important difference. In this model of church, Sunday worship takes its place alongside the other activities of the church. They're all important, and they're all focused on what should be at the centre of every Christian church's thinking, Jesus Christ. So in talking about our response to COVID, I'm going to talk at least as much about these other activities as I am about Sunday morning worship. I'll just point out 2 or 3 of the other activities and how they worked pre-COVID. So book club is a group that meets up monthly and talks about a Christian book that we're reading together. We may take several months, reading a few chapters at a time, and then meeting up in someone's home to discuss what we've read and to learn from each other. Film club is similar, but we watch a film every month and then meet up in my home to watch selected clips and talk about the issues they raise. These are mainstream films, not Christian films, and the sessions are open to anyone. They aren't just for Christians, but they invariably touch on moral and ethical issues, whatever the film. Pub theology involves meeting in a pub and talking about theological, spiritual and philosophical topics over a pint of warm English ale. Again, this is for people of all faiths and none. Now, when lockdown started in England in spring 2020, it was immediately obvious that we couldn't do things as we had been doing. We couldn't meet in church. We couldn't meet in each other's homes. We couldn't meet in pubs. I'll leave it to you to guess which one I missed most. It took us a little while to think about a response, but we very rapidly came to the conclusion that the answer to our problems was Zoom, or at least part of the answer was. Now I'm going to assume you know about Zoom, and I'm not going to talk about how it works, but the important thing is that we decided if the church was going to function during the crisis, it would have to do so largely online. Put very simply, film club, book club and Sunday worship all went online. And we also post our Sunday services through a blog on our website. What happened as a result surprised us all, and I've summarised it on this next slide. So attendance at every one of these activities has increased. Book club and film club are now so well attended we couldn't possibly move back to the situation we had before, as people's homes aren't big enough to hold the numbers now involved. Geography no longer matters. We've been able to support people from the former Congregational Church in Nottingham, which is closed, despite the fact it would be impracticable for them to travel to Newark for these activities. And we've had people join our worship from Edinburgh, from South Korea and from Adelaide in Australia. New people attend worship because they got involved through other activities. And conversely, more people attend other activities because they've got involved in worship. Church membership has increased. We've had 6 new members since the start of this year. Now, that may not sound a lot, but that's an increase of over 30%. The style of worship has become more participative. People are used to having a say and contributing at other groups. So why not in worship too? We reach over 130 people each week through our blog. 5 minutes isn't very long, but I want to close with what's going to happen next. The most important thing is, as we go back into our church building, as restrictions are lifted, we are absolutely clear that we're not going back to the way things were before. We've had high-speed internet installed in our church building, and our services will remain online for those that can't get to church or who prefer not to attend the building. We'll be continuing the lessons learned about the style of worship. We're not going back to the 5 hymn sandwich days that should probably have been left behind in the 1950s. We're having various styles of music. We're allowing people to take part and join in discussions. It's not going to be about the ministry team talking and everyone else just listening. And finally, those of you that have been paying attention will notice I haven't spoken about what's happened to pub theology. Well, the fact is you can't do pub theology over the internet. You have to have a pub. It's been away for 18 months now, but it's coming back in September. Mine's a pint. Thank you.